let's talk about dynamics and about articulations. And this is the portion of the class where you need to maybe make some notes. Because this is just, we're gonna cover some symbols and well, you just basically have to remember those. Because maybe you've already seen them in music and do not know what they meant, or you are for sure 100% sure if you're reading sheet music, you are going to see these symbols. So let's first start with dynamics. And a dynamics, what do we mean with dynamics? We just simply mean how loud, soft, or strong do we play music. And in classical music or in just sheet music notation, we use Italian for this. And here on the screen, you will see the most important ones. PP, meaning pianissimo. B is piano. Then we have mezzo piano, mezzo forte, forte, and fortissimo. And this goes from really soft and quiet to very loud and strong. And it is important to remember these abbreviations as well as their respective definitions. From P, really soft, to forte, which is really loud. And you just have to memorize this chart. Like, there is no much theory to it. It's something you will see in sheet music. You have to learn. Now we also have crescendo and decrescendo. And what does those mean? That means crescendo, gradually getting louder. You will see you end small, you begin small, and you go wider, you go louder. And usually in music, you will see on the left side of the crescendo, you will see, for example, piano, and on the right side, you will, for example, see forte, meaning at the beginning we play piano, and then during the crescendo sign, during the measures it is in, you will gradually getting louder until you are in forte. And the opposite of this is decrescendo, which starts very loud, or loud in particular, and strong, and becomes softer. It's important to know that decrescendo can go from forte to piano. It can also go from piano to pianissimo. And that depends, of course, on the abbreviations that are before and after the crescendo or decrescendo sign. But these are things you need to remember. And maybe it's best to maybe take a screenshot of this or get a pen and paper and write it down somewhere. So, one more time, the P is soft, F is loud, then we have mezzo piano, which is a bit piano, that's basically how you can see it, it's and mezzo forte, which is a bit forte, a bit medium. So with this, when multiple instruments play together, most of the time the most important melody is the loudest, but that doesn't have to be. That can be, depends of course on context and on how many people are playing. But if you would have a singer that is really soft and you have a bass and a drum that is way louder, then usually that's not what you're looking for, but that is of course artistic choice. But it's important to know these abbreviations because you will find them in your sheet music. So with this in mind, what instrument is the loudest here? We have not usually, when we looked at sheet music, we looked at only one line or two lines. But this is a orchestral score, I think, from one of my own noob compositions, but we can use it for theory. So what you see here, for those that have never seen it, is a full score of lots of different instruments: flute, oboe, clarinet, horn, trombone, some strings, and this is played at the same time, and then the next measure, it just all goes together. And on these measures you will see, well, MP, F, bass clarinet is not playing anything, which are the rest symbols. That's why they're important, to keep remembering the rest symbols. Sometimes, well, you basically don't have to play in an orchestra. Then we see an MF, MF, MP, 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 and an MP. So which of these abbreviations is the loudest? If you paid attention, or maybe you have made a screenshot as I suggested, maybe you have made notes as I suggested. Well, let's go back in case you have not made any stuff, any screenshots or notes. Pause the video and try to write these down somewhere. It will probably take 1 week at max, and then you know them, but you just need to revisit them a few times. P is soft, F is loud. If we add more P's to it, it becomes softer. If we add more F's to it, it becomes louder. And MF means just a bit forte or a bit piano. So with these in mind, what instrument is the loudest here? The loudest instrument is on the second line, the oboe, which is forte. And forte means loud or strong. I think strong is a better word. And I quickly want to address that, what the difference is between loud and strong. Loudness is something you can measure in decibels, but not all instruments are equally as loud. If I would play loud on my accordion, I think that is much louder than someone playing on a acoustic bass. I think an acoustic bass, when you play loud, that's a lot less loud. So that's why we use strong, because strong, it depends on the instrument you are playing. But even though it's probably from an academic standpoint not allowed to say that forte is loud, I am still guilty of using that. So my apologies in advance, and if you are gonna do that as well, that's not too big of a deal. But the correct term for forte is to play it strong. But yeah, the oboe as the loudest or the most strongest instrument. Let's do another example, which I have a few chords with soprano, tenor, alto, and bass. In which measure or measures is the dynamic the most soft? So where is it the most soft? Well, we see some P, F, MP, MF, FF, more P's, and we see these crescendo and decrescendo signs. So where is it the most soft? Well, piano was soft, forte was strong. Now we have MP, which is a bit P, a bit soft, or a bit forte. We also see 2 Fs, which means fortissimo, which is even stronger. But we are looking for soft. So the softest abbreviation here, or the softest dynamic, is piano, which is the abbreviation P, which we see at the beginning of measure 1, and we see it in measure 5, 6, 7, in measure 8, and in measure 9. Notice that the beginning of this measure is piano, but the second measure is not piano anymore. Why? Because we see a crescendo sign, meaning this is piano, and slowly during these 2 measures, during the crescendo sign, we slowly getting louder or stronger and stronger until in measure 3 we get to forte, and then we get gradually less strong to mezzo piano. So the beginning of measure 1 and the last 2 measures is where the dynamics is the most soft. So these were the dynamics. But we also have articulations, and this is to let the musician know how to play or interpret the piece. And there are also a few symbols for that as well. Let's go over, there are lots of them, but I want to go over the most basic ones, which are staccato, accents, tenuto, fermata, and legato. first staccato, when we see a dot. Now I want to quickly say that we have seen a dotted note before, right? But a dotted note, that is when the dot is next to the note. When the dot is above or below the note, then we call it not a dotted note, but a staccato. And a staccato means that we play it really quickly and not holding on for the full length. It's really quickly and short notes. Then we have accents, which is, well, kind of an arrow-ish sign, above and below, or below. A tenuto is a line, again, always above or below a note, which is to hold the note for its full length. And then we have a fermata, which is to hold as long as you want, or the composer wants, or the conductor wants. And then we also have legato, which is a bended line. That means the notes to play together in a smooth line. So let me, my singing is not great, but I will try to sing a really short line on the spot with these five articulations. First, let me do something in staccato. Bom, 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 bom. Really short notes. The dot means really short, and let's go immediately. Bom, 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 bom. An accent is to give more emphasis to a note. For example, if I would sing it's almost Christmas, is there any Christmas song? Is there We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas. The beginning of a sentence, beginning of a measure usually has a more stronger feeling as an accent. Ba-dum, ba-ba-ba-ba-bum, bum, ba-dum. It's a bit stronger, which is an accent. Then you have a tenuto, which is to hold the note for its full length. Ba da 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 da. These are quarter notes. Da 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 da. And if it would be staccato, bum 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 bum. That's the difference between staccato is really short and tenuto is really long, or for the full length as notated. And we have fermata, which is to hold the note longer than its full length, and that is usually as long as a composer intends, or can also be for your own interpretation, or if you are in an orchestra, you need to look at the conductor. And then we have legato, which is a blended line. That means to play the notes in a smooth line. So with smooth line, I mean within one breath, or smoothly together. Or if you are playing a string instrument like a violin, you will do it in one stroke, one up or down stroke. My singing is really bad, and I will do some examples on the accordion and piano probably in a future video. But I want to really quickly mention that we have seen a line before in I think an Introduction to Sheet Music 2, which is a tie. And a tie and legato is not the same thing. A tie is when we go from a G to another G, the same G, or an A to an A, B flat to B flat, and that is when the note becomes one. But now we see a line over different types of notes, and then it's called a legato. So here are again some things you need to learn. You need to learn both the firm as well as the symbol as well as the meaning. And maybe you already seen some of these in your sheet music, and if you have not, you are gonna see it. If you are having lessons, or you're doing any graded, you follow any course on your instrument, you are going to see both these articulations, but also the dynamics we did in the beginning of this video. Best way is probably to look at these like 3 times a day, and if you look at these for 5 days, I think you already just remember them by heart. It is just same as when you need to learn some words. That's basically what this is. But I hope this introduction of dynamics and articulations was clear and good enough to follow. So we use dynamics and articulations to make our song, piece, composition more interesting and more fun to listen to.